Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today on this episode of the Hope for the Soul podcast. We're so glad that you have tuned in to hopefully receive some hope for your soul. If you're watching this on social media and you have not yet subscribed to the Hope for the Soul podcast on all major podcasting platforms, you can go do that as soon as you're done watching this episode. And then if you can take it one step further and not just subscribe, but rate and review, that would help us be distributed at a much faster pace in the podcasting world algorithm. So once again, thanks so much. I'm here with my dad, the one and only Kent Smith. Together, we're privileged to lead Conroe United Pentecostal Church. And the idea of this podcast is just to offer hope to anyone and everyone, whether you're in the church or outside of the church. We want to encourage and hopefully give you some tools to find hope in your life. So today we're talking about transparency. Dad, let's talk.
Hey, bub. Have you ever been in conversation with somebody and the answer or the sentences, the words that you were receiving sounded a little squishy?
Mm-hmm.
You ask a question and you got a non-answer. There's a statement made and you question what just got said, what message got sent, what is going on here. That is those kind of squishy answers. That's a good modern word. Squishy answers.
Squishy, spongy.
Those kind of answers are a word, a figure of speech that we call obfuscate.
Mm-hmm.
When that we give an unclear answer or we render things obscure. We didn't lie, but we didn't tell the truth either. You know, we kind of gave a fuzzy answer. We kind of made it in such a way it was unclear, unintelligible. We didn't deny, but nor did we confirm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. It's kind of like, probably the most famous of those was in front of cameras, in front of America, in front of the whole world. President Clinton made that famous statement that day. I did not do what y'all were saying that I did. Well, in all reality, he had done quite a bit of stuff there. But he gave us that obfuscative answer, that lawyer speak, that evasive answer. This is very common. And if we're not careful, we all do that. If we're not careful, we can have a breach in our own integrity, and we can give non-answers. We can give evasive answers. We didn't tell a lie, but we sure didn't tell the truth. Ever had that happen? Yeah. So with that, this morning, my thoughts are about this word transparency, about the benefits of always being transparent. And I've got 3 or 4 things I want to throw at you real quick that transparency brings to us every time that you use it. Because we can all admit the fact, and if we cannot admit and accept the fact that we're all people, that we all will have issues in life, whether it is in your career, in your family, with other relationships with people, there are all moments in life that issues do arise. Right. We all will have a problem someday. That's factual. That's just, if it hasn't happened yet, you're next in line because it's coming your way. But so when we're faced with one of those moments in life when we got to face the problem, if we obfuscate, if we hide, if we build walls to keep, of protecting ourselves and protecting those that are around us, and if we do those things, we only push the solving of the problem further down the road. We kick the can down the road. But in all reality, when we are transparent, the first thing I want to mention to you is this. It's the problem is always solved faster. The problem's there. We kick the can down the road, It may not get solved this year. It may be next year, 5 years. We may enable someone to continue bad behavior. We may enable ourselves to continue bad behavior because we've kicked the can and we've not been completely honest and forthright. I've known people who would have things hidden in their phones. I've known people who would have made bad decisions, but yet they were not honest about it when confronted. They obfuscated. They weren't transparent. The problem eventually will get solved, but the problem-solving process is much quicker if we do this and we're honest and we are forthcoming and we're forthright.
We're transparent.
And when we're transparent, not only does it help solve the problem faster, but it brings unity into whatever people group it is. I mean, there's always a people group. I mean, where none of us are islands to ourselves. And so when we are forthright and honest, say you're in a workplace and there is an issue that's arisen. I mean, your department's fallen behind goals, or there's a character issue in someone. Instead of obfuscating, instead of hiding it, we have an open discussion. Hey, we've got this problem. Our department is this far behind its goals. We've got to fix this. And when you're open and transparent, you begin to bring a unity in the room where people will feel like, well, I'm not by myself. I know my personal goals are down, but it's not just me, it's all of us. And so we realize we're in this together. So it begins to build a unity. And when that unity begins to build, the third thing I want to mention is relationships begin to grow. And when we're honest and we're candid and we're forthright and we're not hiding facts and we're just transparent, the problem is going to get solved because now the whole group, the whole team, it can be your family. I mean, I can remember times as a dad that I called a solemn assembly at our house.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, okay, kids, y'all come downstairs. Come on, Mama. We're all going to have a talk. We're going to fix this thing. And they were painful talks. Sometimes they were painful for me, and I would imagine in that stage in life they were more painful for you at times than they were for me. But it's come now, let us reason together moment.
Yeah.
But out of that comes unity, and our relationships begin to grow. And when those relationships grow, suddenly we find this magic quantity in life that is so evasive. But when it's there, it's so powerful.
What was the book that you read on trust that you gave to so many people? Was it Covey, The Speed of Trust, I think? Or Henry Cloud?
One was The Speed of Trust. That was an incredible book about extending trust up and down. And that's a neat thing about even our relationship here. We often get questions. You tell me often that so-and-so has asked you, one of your peers has asked you how our relationship as parents and son, as minister and minister, as a senior pastor and a lower pastor, how is that being lower?
A lower pastor. It's so good.
A low pastor, son.
Low man on the totem pole.
The low man. So how has this worked? And then I also told you at times when I've been asked questions from my peers, they ask the same question, maybe from a different perspective, and that is, how is that going? And the reason that we have been able to develop what we have here, and that is we learn how to trust. And it's very easy for myself as a leader to tell you, you just have to trust me. Have you ever had somebody tell you, you just got to trust me on this?
Just trust me.
Just trust me. And there's moments that has to be said. But if it's an environment where things haven't been transparent, if it's an environment where we're feeling squishy, we don't feel unity, and we're uncertain, if it's an environment where our relationships are not strong because of all this other stuff that's happening, it's hard to extend trust, especially when, if a leader, I haven't been forthcoming and I haven't been transparent, you're not so certain that you want to trust me. And so what happens is, for me to garner your trust, as the leader, I have to be transparent, and I have to be transparent and honest enough to trust you with the facts. And so there is an issue. And so we sit down and I say, here's what's going on. We need to figure this out. And I'm trusting you with details that would be easier for me to not trust you with. Right. And so I've trusted you with that, and suddenly you're on the team. You feel part of it. You're unified. Our relationship's stronger. I'm trusting you with details.
That's an opportunity to buy in.
And you're giving trust back. And then suddenly, boom, you've got this trust relationship that's incredible that would never have been there if, as a leader, if I had obfuscated, if I had been evasive, if I hadn't been completely forthright. I would have never had the unity. We'd have never had that relationship. And our trust wouldn't be as tight and strong as it is. And coming out of tight trust, strong trust that is reciprocated, top down, bottom up. And it comes and it meets and it creates this powerful fusion of personalities and of leadership. It creates this powerful atmosphere. Suddenly you look around and you are having higher levels of performance. The qualities of what you put out. The level of performance is greater because you know me and I know you. And when we've got this trust, we just know. Yeah. And it comes from being transparent, not from obfuscating and evading and avoiding. You see, if you want to be free and you want to have strong relationships, whether this is in your marriage, whether it's with your kids, maybe you've got relationship issues with family. Maybe there's an estrangement from parents. Maybe there's an estrangement from brothers and sisters. Maybe there's problems in your world that need to be fixed. The best way to fix it is not hide it, not throw it away, and not avoid it. Man up, face it, and walk right up and say, hey, we need to fix this.
Right.
Whatever it is.
And I think sometimes in life, as is the case in our day and age, we either go to one extreme or the other. We hide everything. There's a complete lack of transparency. Or we run to our Instagram stories or our Facebook and we air way too much of our personal issues. Or we send the email at the office and instead of not responding and not being a team player, we put everyone on blast. And this is what I think. And sometimes I don't think that's too much transparency. I think that's a lack of self-control. But when we can properly control ourselves, we can offer the correct level of transparency that always, just as you said, on number 3 and number 4, our relationships will grow with our family, with our coworkers, with our spouse, with our people on the team, maybe at church or at work or wherever it is. And then trust is extended. And then that leads us right to number 5, which you said, higher levels of performance.
The Apostle Paul said those words. He said, possessing your vessel with sanctification and with honor.
And honor.
There's 2 areas in our lives that we must learn to possess our vessel. Self-control, right. Control ourselves. Right. Sanctification and honor. Now, when it comes to wrong things, when it comes to sin issues, whether, it's a man's faithful to his wife, a wife is loyal to her husband, those are sin issue lines we cross. And Paul clearly told us that we've got to possess our vessels in sanctification. Refrain from sin issues in your life. But he didn't stop there. He says not just sin issues. He says possess your vessel where sin is concerned, but also possess your vessels where honor is concerned.
That's so good.
That's where integrity comes in. And so now, instead of just not sinning against a mate or not sinning against an employer, not doing wrong against society, we're careful about entering into sin issues. We don't lie, we don't cheat, we don't steal, we don't hang out with those who do. We're careful. We're careful. But then there's also that thing of possessing our vessel with sanctification and honor, that integrity thing. Only we know the truth. And sometimes we obfuscate. And when we obfuscate, we're not crossing the sanctification line, but we have left the honor line way, way behind us.
And integrity, I think it was you and Mom that taught me that integrity is what you do when no one is looking. So that if you live completely true to what God wants you to do and how he wants you to live, and you answer that call, you live a life to where you can lay your head on your pillow at night and sleep well because you have integrity before God. But then that same integrity allows you the the level of character to be transparent with hard issues in your family or in your marriage or in your work.
Absolutely. Let me quote Pastor Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, Brother Rush.
He would make this comment. He makes these off-the-wall comments all the time that you really think, man, this is crazy. But when you think about what he said, it is powerful. When he said these words over and over again, you've heard him say it 1,000 times. I am the most trusted man in America. Yeah. He said, you can trust me in a motel room with your daughter all night long.
Yeah.
In other words, I might be in an awkward, bad, compromising circumstance, but even there, I'm going to live with integrity and honor.
Right, right.
And so we all have these issues. When we have an issue, when we have a problem, when there is that moment for us not to be completely transparent, we take advantage of that, we obfuscate, we lose. But the next thing, if we're open and we're honest, the truth will set
you free.
If you want to be free, tell the truth. But the truth hurts. Well, the pain of the truth doesn't hurt nearly as bad as the pain of hiding the truth.
That's good.
It doesn't hurt.
Freedom isn't free, and if you want the freedom of the truth, I think sometimes you got to make the hard decision to be open when it's easier to not be open.
You know, our family faced something years ago, and thankfully that we look back and we were victorious in this thing. But several years ago, your sister on staff here at the church, she got in trouble, and she was expectant she wasn't married. She was a staff member here at the church, and it was an embarrassing moment for our family. It was a disappointing moment. And it was my first response was, how can I hide this? How can I cover this? How can I take care of this without this becoming a scandal or becoming a problem? And so it dawned on me there that I can either walk the path of obfuscation and avoidance, or I can be forthright and honest, and this problem will be solved much faster because it's not going away. I mean, you can't make this go away. So you remember we had a meeting at the church. We asked everyone to come, and I took just a few minutes and said, look, we have this problem, and it's embarrassing for our family. And as a pastor, I have taught you for years how to keep these things from happening. But now I'm in a unique place as a pastor where when these things happen anyway, I can lead you and show you how to navigate during this time to get through it. And so we were at a unique place. As a result, we had people come with support. They came with care and love, and we had people all over the world begin to respond and begin to share with us. And I know I probably have told this story before, but when this was going on and she was, it was fresh news to us. I took her to a large meeting, and there was, thousands of people, hundreds of ministers, and the man who was leading that large meeting, the top dog in his whole group of people, came to me and said, I want to thank you for bringing Radona with you to this. I know it wasn't easy. It's probably embarrassing, but thank you. Then he said these words that were transformative to me. He said, when this happened to our family, we didn't insist that our daughter come around. And now as a result, many years later, she still isn't in the church. Yeah. That was transformative because I realized if you face an issue, you don't hide it. You don't obfuscate it. You have power. And suddenly I'm finding I'm unified with that man. We've got a common problem now. And there's a unity that came with that. And relationships able to grow. Trust levels are there because that man now knows that in a difficult situation, he can trust me.
Right.
Because now trust is being extended. So you cannot hide stuff. You cannot evade stuff. You remember the story of Achan when they went to battle, and the commandment was you destroy everything, but Achan took some things, and he brought those things from Jericho and put them in his house. And the man of God became very aware that there was a problem. And here was Achan acting like everything was great. But Achan had things hidden in his house. How many times do business people, executives, families, ministries have something hidden at their house that they're evasive about. They're not honest. They're not forthcoming. As a result, Achan and his entire family paid a dire consequence, paid an incredible price for the things that they allowed to be hidden in their personal environment. If I can say anything today, Trent, never hide those things.
Right.
All of us are going to have an issue along the way. None of us are going to be free from that. I say this, we've helped a lot of ministries the last few years. And it seems like that for some reason that we wind up when there is a ministry that's got something, a catastrophe, a calamity or something, somehow we're on the pathway and we've been intersected with it. It's a gifting, it's a calling, right? It's a season in life. It's a place where seemingly God has placed us. And I've had this talk time and time again with families that are in crisis. And that is, every family has a scandal.
Yeah.
I don't care if you are an executive in your career. I don't care if you are Barbie and Ken with the perfect 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2-car garage house on a curb street on perfect city America.
With a white picket fence.
I don't care where you are. There will come a moment in your family, in your life, in whatever you do. This is not about church. This is about life.
Right.
When that moment comes, then you suddenly realize, I have a problem.
Yeah.
Every family will be faced with a scandal. Every ministry will face a scandal. Every executive, every family, every career will be faced with a scandal. So this is the thing I've come to realize. It's the problem is not that we have the scandal. The problem is not that we're embarrassed by the scandal. The problem is how do we handle the scandal?
Yeah.
Okay. Scandal is not good, but mishandling the scandal is worse. You have a scandal. Scandal's coming. So when scandal comes, do you handle it with sanctification? Do you handle it with honor? Do you handle it with transparency? Or do we hide it? Do we lie about it? Do we hide the facts? Do we obfuscate? Do we not extend trust around us? And as a fact, we are human, we are flesh, but it's not the scandal that's the problem.
Wow.
It's how we handle the scandal. And that separates the men from the boys. The people that are there 20, 30, 40 years later is they had a scandal, but they handled it right.
Wow. Wow, that's so good.
They handled it right. So I'm not sure how much more time we've got, but let me just... Let me close.
About 5 minutes.
Let me close my thoughts with this little thing. Years ago, I came across a story, and it's a story that I have embraced into my personal life. I embraced it into raising you and your sister. I've embraced it into leading a church, and I've embraced it into other relationships, external relationships. And it's a simple little story about a little boy who went out one day and in his neighborhood, he found a little puppy. And he got to playing with that puppy, and he loved the little black puppy, had a little white spot on his chest. And he just loved that puppy. He played with him all afternoon. Then when he came home that evening, he brought the puppy home. And Mama said, "You can keep the puppy." Dad says, "Cute puppy." And they all started loving the puppy. They played with it for a day or two, and they just got attached to the puppy. And then one day, they stepped out, and in their neighborhood, on the telephone pole, somebody had posted a sign said, "Puppy lost." The puppy, we've lost a puppy. A little black puppy has a white spot on his chest. And the little boy looked at his daddy, and they go back in the house, and the little boy's crying, "Daddy, what we gonna do?" I mean, we Dad had taken that paper off the telephone pole and brought it in, and little boy didn't know what was fixing to happen. Dad might have been fixing to make the phone call so they could return the puppy. They brought the paper in, and they brought the boy in. They brought the puppy in. They were all standing there. Little boy didn't want to lose his puppy. He didn't want to take the puppy back. And Dad stood there, And in a moment, Dad went into the other room and came back. He came back with a shoe shine bag. And he took a little black tin of shoe polish and took a little brush and put some black shoe polish on the white spot on that little puppy's chest.
Wow.
So now the puppy no longer had a spot.
Oh.
What did that little boy learn that day from his dad?
Wow. Transparency.
Those stories are life transformational. You can't cover spots. As a matter of fact, the Lord said, those things that are hidden
Will be revealed.
will be revealed. Oh,
I think we have a decision to make when we come to the moment when we find the missing dog note on the telephone pole. We all have them in our life, whether it be that literal circumstance or something else.
never cover the spots.
Never cover the spots.
Never cover the flaws.
Wow. Wow.
Well, thanks everybody for being with us today.
Thanks everybody for listening. We hope that this was a blessing and an encouragement to you. The name of this podcast, as you know, is Hope for the Soul. And if there's anything that we can do in today's day and age with all the chaos that we're facing, anything that we want to do, it's to give you hope, whether it be in your walk with God, in your marriage, in your career. We're not experts, but we feel like God's gifted us and called us to help you reach your full potential, not just on this earth, but in your relationship with Him.
As a matter of fact, I think it would be wrong for us to overly presume that we have all the answers.
Yeah.
But we share a unique life story of victories and pains, and we've chosen to share some of those pains with others, because when someone wakes up and realizes, I'm not the only one that has dealt with this or is dealing with this. I'm not in this journey by myself. Suddenly they find hope, and hope for the soul, hope for the inner man, hope for their mind, hope for their spirit, hope for their peace. And that's what this is all about. So
thanks everybody so much. Oh my goodness, today was good. We can go on for another half hour if we wanted to. But in closing, if you wouldn't mind subscribing to this podcast if you have not yet subscribed, and then rate and comment. Give us a good review. That will help us grow. That will help us reach more people. That's all we want to do, is reach people and help people. So once again, thanks for tuning in today.